communities that we serve are better communities because of the information that we can bring forward. Greenville's really the economic engine for the state of South Carolina in many, many industries.
As a family-owned business that has been in South Carolina for several generations, moving across the entire state makes perfect sense.
Though we've diversified our business portfolio over the years, we still have our roots and our legacy firmly in journalism. A strong, well-run daily newspaper operated by good journalists is important to the community.
But we're committed to being local, and I think that's what sets us apart.
I think that our newsroom does a tremendous job serving this community. To get the feedback from our readers that they think we are doing a good job means the world to me.
Thank you everyone for joining us today as we are launching in the Greenville market. We are super excited to have you listening to us today and being a part of this. I'm PJ Browning, President Publisher of the Post and Courier, and a longtime newspaper veteran. So I will tell you, we've looked at the Greenville market for several years, and I had some people that were certainly interested in us bringing our reporting there. And the timing just never seemed quite right until this year. And I will tell you, amongst the COVID virus, it was one of those things where there was a lot of uncertainty, but we really decided that now was the time to launch because we felt like the communities were in serious need of local coverage. The Post and Courier itself, we have had a projects team for some time. And if you've followed any of our projects, our team of 5, which certainly while they're in Charleston will be a part of the coverage you'll see. That projects team really focuses on statewide issues. And in 2015, we won the Pulitzer for Till Death Do Us Part, certainly a statewide project on domestic violence. We've had Minimally Adequate regarding South Carolina's education system. So we'll continue to focus on those. About 4 years ago, we launched in Columbia when we purchased the Free Times. And what the Free Times in Columbia allowed us to do was to really focus on our state legislators and politics of South Carolina, which is never boring. So that team in Columbia that supports certainly the state capitol and news coming out of that also becomes a part of the coverage team that Greenville will benefit from. So really the next step for us was to step in and say, okay, how do we get local on the ground, make sure that the reporters that we have are engaged in the community and that they're a part of the community. And you're going to see them hopefully in
Hey everybody, looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Sorry for that delay. I'll jump in for PJ. I'm Mitch Pugh, I'm the executive editor here at the Post and Courier, and thank you all for being here today. I'll just try to pick up where PJ left off, and I think she was talking about local. Yeah, I just echo everything she said. We're thrilled to get the Post and Courier Greenville launched here in Greenville, and our big focus in getting started and launched last week was really finding the right Greenville journalists reporting on Greenville issues from Greenville. And by doing that, we believe we can bring you the best of the Post and Courier's news tradition, and that's a tradition of in-depth quality reporting, and to tie that with a relentless focus on your community. Again, we've got a great group that you're going to meet here in just a few minutes for really experienced journalists and an experienced editor to help guide that transition. I do want to say we hope you'll consider becoming Post and Courier subscribers if you aren't already. For just 56 cents a day, you get in-depth, meaningful coverage, not just of Greenville, but as PJ mentioned, everything the Post and Courier has to offer. And that includes statewide investigative and watchdog journalism, state house coverage, comprehensive political news, business news from across the state that has impacts in all corners of the state, and all of our digital products, including our mobile apps, e-papers, and more. So all of that is available to everyone who becomes a subscriber, no matter where you live. But that's enough of that and enough of me. I want to turn this over to the folks that are going to make this magic happen. So I'm going to hand over to the journalist who's going to be spearheading our efforts here in Greenville, and that is Greenville Managing Editor Ryan Gilchrist.
Thank you, Mitch. Thanks everyone for being with us today. In just a moment, I'm going to introduce the staff to you. Just wanted to say a few words about what we're doing here in Greenville. We'll get to some questions later. If you do have questions as we go along, feel free to post those in the Q&A section down at the bottom, and we'll answer as many as we can. We're excited to be here right in the middle of Greenville. We're located right here on Main Street. As both Mitch and PJ said, it's exciting to bring the Post and Courier, which has done great work statewide, and really put a team in Greenville, reporting on Greenville issues and tying into the rest of the state. And that's an amazing thing. It is fantastic for the citizens of South Carolina and fantastic for the folks here in the upstate and in Greenville to now have Post and Courier with a permanent presence right here on Main Street. Let me introduce you to our team, and then we'll get around to some more questions here in a few minutes. So I'm going to start off with Eric Connor. He's our local editor and reporter. He'll primarily be covering the city and city issues. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Ryan. Well, I wish that I could meet people face to face. It would be so great to be able to do that. I love, getting to know our readers and, learning what's on your mind and all that. But you might have recognized my name. I've been here for 20 years. Maybe seen me out at the baseball fields with my sons before they got all big. Playing pickup basketball at just about any gym there is here in Greenville. And I'm lifelong South Carolinian, grew up in Columbia. My first job was in the Low Country. My original goal was to go to the Post and Courier when I was in my 20s, but I came to Greenville. Greenville's treated me really well. It's been a rewarding career here, and sure enough, here comes an opportunity to be where I wanted to be. So please reach out to me if you have any ideas, anything to share. I'm here.
Thanks. And while we're moving on to the next, if any of you need to reach out to any of the reporters or to myself you see today, we're all available by our first initial and our last name at postandcourier.com. So do please reach out to us via email. We are always looking to have conversations with readers. Next up, I want to introduce you to Nathaniel Carey. We call him Nate. Y'all call him Nathaniel if you want to. His byline is Nathaniel, so we'll go with that. He is going to be primarily covering county government for us, but Nate's an experienced reporter who's going to dabble in a lot of different subjects. Nate, tell the folks about yourself.
Hi, as Ryan said, I'm Nate Carey, or Nathaniel, as my byline is, and I am a 15-year veteran of Greenville reporting. I own a house in Simpsonville, where I began my career as a cub reporter fresh out of college, and I've covered this local community since then. I've covered some city and local government. I've covered education. I've covered the environment and energy and issues. I've done investigative reporting and worked on a projects team. And I'm just thrilled to be here at the Post and Courier Greenville and helping launch this endeavor here in Greenville, and be another Greenville reporter, raising my family here, going to church here, and working here in the community and telling those stories as well.
All right, thank you, Nate. And since everyone else is mentioning a little about themselves, I'm 22 years in the news industry, been all around the Southeast, spent the last 10 years or so in charge of newsrooms, primarily as a managing editor, so excited to bring that here to Greenville. So of our staff, I'm the newbie in town, as you're about to find out from the rest. They're all, longtime Greenville residents. So let's get on to the next. Connor Hughes. Hello, Connor. Connor is covering public safety, a little bit of social issues, as well as a lot of other things. And you're going to recognize that as a consistent theme. Today, we've got a versatile group of reporters who will deal with a lot of different subjects. But Connor, why don't you tell the folks a little about what you do?
Sure. Thanks for the introduction, Ryan. As he mentioned, my name's Connor Hughes. I've been covering issues in the upstate for about 4 years now. So I'm kind of the new guy on the team, but still very much established in this community. And what the opportunity to join this team meant for me is getting the chance to build something new, but still be a part of that established legacy of excellence that the Post and Courier represents and bring some of that philosophy to this area. And just really excited to start sharing some of the stories we're working on. We're going to be really delving into some of these stories that just haven't been told in this area and telling them in different contextualized ways that are going to be really valuable and really essential to our readers in this area. So I'm just really excited to be a part of this team and to continue going forward here.
Great. Thank you, Connor. Last, but very most certainly not least, we have Anna B. Mitchell. Hello, Anna. Anna is going to be covering business and education for us. Anna happens to have an MBA, so she's a great person to cover business, and she also has a child in school, so she's a great person to cover education as well. But Anna, why don't you tell a little more about yourself?
Well, yeah, I've been living in the upstate since 1999. It was my first job out of school as a newspaper in Anderson, and I've covered Spartanburg, I covered Greenville, I've covered a lot of areas, and this isn't my first go at education or business reporting, but I'm so excited to be doing it. We're all saying excited. We all promise not to use that word over and over again, but I'm thrilled to be at the Post and Courier. It's a paper I wanted to work for, but I love this city. So it's kind of the perfect marriage of the two. And immediately upon joining the staff, I was in touch with reporters in Columbia. I was in touch with reporters in Charleston and Myrtle Beach. We are working as a team across the state already, and it's awesome, the power of that. So I'm thrilled, and we're just going to do great things.
All right. Thank you, Anna. One other person you'll probably see the occasional upstate byline from is Josh Needleman, who covers a lot of Clemson athletics. He may be covering some news and some other things, so you may occasionally see his name pop up. Unfortunately, Josh couldn't be with us today, but he's a part of the team as well as covering sports for the Post and Courier. We wanted to have a chance to answer as many questions as we could today, within a time frame at least. And so some of you have already sent in questions. And again, if you're watching this and you have questions, please click the Q&A button at the bottom. I'm going to do my very best to answer as many as possible. If at the end of this you have additional questions or you just want to reach out to me personally, rgilchrist@postandcourier.com. Happy to answer any questions you have. I'd also strongly encourage you to go to postandcourier.com/Greenville, sign up for our newsletters. Those come out twice a week. And the ones that are up there now, you'll be getting a note from me. If you hit reply to those newsletters, you get me directly. So happy to answer whatever questions we can, but let me just dive in to some of the things we've gotten already. And again, if you want to add anything to it, I'm happy to answer. One question that seems pretty straightforward, we've addressed it a little bit, but I do want to go ahead and hit it because it's a good start. Why did you open a newsroom in Greenville, and why now? Well, PJ and Mitch, I think, both mentioned this a little bit, but certainly if you look at South Carolina and the Post and Courier, based in Charleston, began to expand into Columbia a few years ago, and it has really embraced a statewide coverage approach, the largest news organization in the state. And so it's just the logical next step to put a team physically here in Greenville. In order to enhance that statewide coverage and also provide local Greenville coverage. You don't have to be in Greenville long to understand that there's plenty happening here. There's a lot of business. It's a very active community in terms of real estate and international business. There's a lot of cultural things that are interesting about the area. We're located, up in a part of the state that tends to be awfully beautiful. So there's a lot going on here, and it just makes sense as an extension of what the Post and Courier was already doing. Why now? Why not now? The timing seemed to be right. The people that were available seemed to be right. It was a chance to come into the market, and certainly it's an interesting time to start up anything, but I will say, a little boldness and a little bravery is a great thing. So that's why now. Other questions. This is going to come up occasionally, and I've answered this a few times in the newsletters. We get questions about print editions. Currently, we are a digital-only operation up in Greenville. That means that a digital subscription will get you everything we write. We don't currently have a printed edition. Your digital subscription does give you access to the e-edition, which is the edition produced by the Post and Courier. It's not specific to Greenville. But as I've told many people, keep sending us your feedback. We're constantly looking at what to do next. We're constantly looking to grow. But for right now, digital subscriptions are absolutely the thing to do in Greenville. So there's your answer about print. But by all means, please keep emailing me about it. Other questions? What's the best way to pass along a news tip? So as I mentioned before, all of our email addresses are just our first initial and last name at postandcourier.com. Absolutely feel free to email us anytime. If you can't find anything else, subscribe to our newsletters, reply to that. I'll connect you to the right person. No problem at all. Let's see, what else? Is journalism here in South Carolina much different than in other parts of the U.S.? If so, how? Well, that's probably a complicated question, but I think what I'd say is not so much. The process and the act of journalism is very similar, no matter where you go. The details about local communities are the parts where things really get different, and that I think is why we've made a point to bring in a staff that knows Greenville, that understands the local specific issues. So not different in process and practice, but certainly different in the details, and great that we have folks who are well-versed in those details for Greenville and the upstate. Let's see, what else do we have here? Will we be covering just Greenville County or the greater Greenville area and surrounding counties? A little bit of both. We are initially pretty heavily focused on downtown Greenville, Greenville County. Certainly the bulk of our coverage initially will be in that area, but as we all know, the areas around Greenville and Greenville County, we're all interconnected in a lot of different ways. People drive in from their homes elsewhere, their business connections outside. So we're going to certainly wander beyond the boundaries of Greenville County. And again, we're hoping to grow. That's our plan. So, hopefully over time, you'll see us expand our boundaries, but initially pretty heavily focused on Greenville, but certainly wandering a bit. We will take any news tip from anywhere. Please send it to us. We're ready to talk to you about just about anything in the upstate. Let's see, what else do we have here? Are the journalists local to the Greenville area? Yes, they are. They're all here. They've all already been here. I'm the only one that had to move, and I live here now. I've got a house here too. So we're all here. I promise you, if you need confirmation, the office is at 1 North Main Street. Feel free to come by. Maybe email me just to make sure I'm here and not off meeting somebody else. But we're located right here downtown. We're all here. Let's see. There's a question here related to coverage of the state legislature and the thoroughness with which the Post and Courier has covered that in the past. And the question is, can we expect the same detailed attention and coverage for Greenville? Absolutely. We're bringing everything that the Post and Courier embraces up to Greenville. Everything from the first conversation I had about this has been connected to the idea of bringing that process and that method. So absolutely. We want to give you stories with depth and context and clarity. We want the reader to come out at the end of the story feeling like, they got value for the time they invested, and certainly if you're a subscriber, the money invested, as well as coming out of it with a stronger sense of what's actually happening, so you can understand the story. So yes, you can expect that detailed attention and coverage in the Greenville market. A few questions that have rolled in on the Q&A. Let's see here. Hi, what reporter will be handling health-related topics? Good question. We'll all pick up a little bit of that. For now, why don't you just send it to me, and we'll make sure that any questions you have are answered. We will all be picking up stories along those lines, even me, from time to time. So rgilchrist@postandcourier.com, and I'll assign it out from there. Let's see, a couple of questions here. Well, not really questions, just we're glad you're here. We're glad to be here too. Thank you for that. Kevin asks, will Greenville have its own morning roundup email? Right now we have 2 newsletters a week going out. They go out on Monday and Thursday, and those go out in the afternoon currently. Will we have a morning roundup email? Not sure yet. It's a good idea, something we'll definitely think about. Starting out, we're trying to make sure that everything we do and can promise to do is something we can deliver with quality every day. So certainly we'll be building, but that's a good idea. Thank you, Kevin. We'll keep that in mind. Let's see, are there any other questions? We did have one question here, and I've actually emailed the person that sent this question directly. So this one may already be answered, but I'm going to answer it anyway. They had questions about whether a subscription applies to the entire household. It does. The login that you put in, you'll have to use an email address and a password, but within your household, you just have to use the same email address and password to all access it, but we understand that. Nobody's expecting you to buy 5 subscriptions per household. We'd appreciate that. That would be wonderful. And if you do that, please email me, because I might come to your house with snacks and treats. But certainly, if you share the account with your spouse, they just need the login information, and that's certainly fine. That seems to be all the questions I have in front of me at the moment. We are a little bit under time, but that's okay. My personal opinion has always been meetings are better when they're a little shorter than expected, than longer. So we really thank everyone for being here today. Thank you for watching this. I see a good number of folks watching this. Thanks so much for taking your time there. I do want to remind you of a couple of things. Again, the newsletter, postandcourier.com/Greenville. The newsletter sign-up block is right there on the page. We'd be really happy if you signed up for that. And again, you'll get notes from me every week if you do that. We will be emailing everyone after this with a link to this broadcast if you want to share it. And I'm getting reminders from folks to remind you about that. That's why I looked at it on my phone. So you'll have a link to that. If anybody missed this today, you'll be more than welcome to share it out to other folks. So that should be coming shortly in the next day or so. Again, thank you for being here. We thank you so much for welcoming us to the community. We hope that you will subscribe. We are a digital-only enterprise, and we need subscriber support, not only to be here, but to grow. We want to be ambitious and to grow and to cover this community, and your subscription furthers that for us. So those of you who've already subscribed, we thank you. Those of you who haven't, we're looking forward to it. We're going to close out with a video here in a second. Again, thanks for being here. Have a great day. Just kidding, folks. You're going to have to wait another minute for that video, because it turns out there were a bunch of live questions that I missed. I scrolled down, but I didn't scroll down far enough. Sorry about that. So we want to make sure we get all of your questions answered. Got my glasses now. I've got a list. We're going to do this again. So let's start at the beginning. You were on mic just now. Catherine called us out. We were on live mic before we got started. I don't think we said anything too embarrassing, so hopefully we'll be okay there. Next question, Sam, how can we help you be successful at PNC Greenville? We're glad you're here. Well, thank you, first of all, Sam. Appreciate that. How can you help us be successful? Subscribe. I mean, that's honestly the best way. Please subscribe. But if you read our stories and pay attention to the newsletter, we'll appreciate that too. A greeting from the editor of the Moultrie News, who's actually a Greenville native. That's Cecilia Brown. Thank you, Cecilia. We appreciate that. Schedule for an e-paper, and there's a couple different e-paper questions on this one. I'm going to go through all of them. There is not going to be a Greenville-specific e-paper at the moment. Your subscription does entitle you to the Post and Courier e-paper, though. So if you subscribe, you have access to that right away. I answered the next few already. Congrats all. Will you have someone covering food and restaurants? This is from Ruda, who actually emailed me right after the initial broadcast. We're taping this about an hour later. So Ruda, I already answered your question, but for the rest of you, obviously, yes, we'll have food and restaurant coverage. Not all the time. You saw our full staff today, but we definitely will be covering some news about food and restaurants. Our reporters' email address is on your website. If not, could they be added? I think we had a technical issue with that. There's another question. That was Kevin emailed us about that twice, actually. Thanks, Kevin. I think we're going to get that fixed. It sounded like we had a link that was going to the wrong place. So we're working on that now. But again, if you want to email any of us, first initial, last name @postandcourier.com. Let's see. How will the reporting staff continue to use video to be visible to your audience in day-to-day operations? Good question. Actually, coming out of today, we talked about maybe doing this a little more frequently. So stay tuned for that. We may do these live Q&As a little more. Hopefully, I'll get all the questions the first time. Next time, as far as the reporters, hopefully we can bring them on, talk about this. Beyond that, I'm not sure how to answer that question yet, other than certainly it's something to think about, and the turnout from our live meet and greet today definitely tells me we need to try. So we'll keep that in mind. How can PR professionals make your life easier when pitching story ideas? That's from Sarah. Sarah, you know, the best thing you can do when you're emailing news organizations is just get right to the point. You know, let us know what you feel like is newsworthy, and even more importantly, give us some good contact information and make sure whatever that contact information is, there's somebody there to answer it for us. But we appreciate directness and also an understanding that we want to hear your story ideas. We're not going to be able to cover everything, obviously. So don't get your feelings hurt if we don't cover that story. Keep sending us stuff. We are paying attention. So thanks for that, Sarah. What date will your first e-edition for Greenville be? That's from Danny. Again, the e-edition is the Post and Courier print edition. The Post and Courier Greenville is entirely digital, so you can go to postandcourier.com/Greenville and see all our latest news. The e-paper is the full Post and Courier edition, and again, you do have access to that with a subscription. Do you have plans for a daily or weekly newsletter that we can receive or subscribe to? That is from Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. We do. We have a twice weekly newsletter that's been going out for more than 2 months now, and you can absolutely subscribe to that. Go to postandcourier.com/Greenville. Look for the newsletter box, sign up for that. You'll get a note from me on Monday, as well as one on Thursday with a lot of headlines and things like that. So we would appreciate you subscribing to that. Next question. Congratulations to all of you. I'm looking forward to working with Anna on education stories. Me too. Thank you, Becky. That was a nice note. Appreciate that. How do P&C journalists feel about tweet messages on newsworthy stories or traditional pathways, email still preferred? We would be more than happy if you reached out to us any way you'd like. Certainly you can on Twitter. We're all on Twitter. We're all pretty easy to find. Or you can always send a message to the Post and Courier Greenville Twitter account. PC Greenville is our Twitter username. You can reach out to us directly. Honestly, sometimes the social path is a little faster even than email because we all are on social pretty regularly. So we don't mind it. Really, the important thing is you're reaching out to us. So any way you feel like you can get in touch with us, we appreciate it. The next one is from Donna. And Donna emailed me immediately after, and I have emailed her directly already. So she and I have already started this conversation. But she did note that there is no racial diversity on our staff, and do we feel that the perspective of African Americans and Latinos is important? I've messaged Donna about this, and it's a serious issue and one that I take very seriously. So I don't want to give an off-the-cuff answer other than to say, yes, we do take that very seriously. I will say that in the hiring process, it's something we worked very hard on. I will say that behind the scenes, it's something I continue to work on. We do take that issue seriously. It's something that we're constantly working on. And Don, I appreciate that message. And I would just say that give us a little time and see where we go from here. But certainly we are committed to representing those communities and to working to make sure that that the news represents that diversity as well. So thank you for that message. Let's see, what else? Thank you so much. I'm so excited, thrilled, and elated that you're covering the upstate. It's been long. That's again from Catherine. Thanks for, again, calling us out on the open mic and the nice note. Hello, Bern. Thank you for the message. What is the circulation for digital? This also from Ruda. That's really tough to say, Ruda. Digital doesn't really work on circulation. The biggest thing, we don't try not to worry too much about the numbers and clicks and things like that. We're concerned as a digital operation about subscribers and about serving both the community and those subscribers. So tough to really say what the answer to your question is, other than it's not our primary focus. Our primary concern is serving the community and making sure that we are focused on both the community and our subscribers. And I believe that I got all of them that time. Should have worn my glasses the first time. Appreciate your patience. Hope some of you are watching this additional piece. And now we will go to that video I promised in the first place. Stay tuned for another one of these, hopefully in the future. We definitely think there's value in this, so hopefully we can continue that conversation. For now, thank you very much. After more than 2 decades in the news industry, I've come to respect certain ways of operating, and the Post and Courier embodies so many of those things. Good quality local journalism with context, with intention. We're having these discussions about why a story matters and how it matters to the community before we move into the process of reporting. To be a part of that is just such an amazing opportunity, and I think that it will be evident in our work here in Greenville. Without the support of our subscribers, it's just impossible. Genuinely, we're asking for you to make an investment in us because we are making an investment in the community, and it's so important to have that support in order to do our jobs properly.